What's up, witches? Here's a look at some bonus behind-the-scenes footage from this week's episode of the BetterWitch podcast. So I'm just going to jump right in and start talking about the incredible expansion of the popularity of tarot reading that has happened in the last few years. It seems like everybody and their mama, which in my hood is an actual unit of calculation, okay? It's a unit of measurement. Everybody and their mama exactly is a tarot reader, particularly professionally. And it's been really interesting to watch for me. I picked up my first deck 21 years ago. I was 15 years old. And for the longest time, it was just this weird little thing that I did alone in my bedroom. I never knew anyone else who did tarot readings. None of my friends were ever interested, certainly none of my family. And now it's like it's absolutely everywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering what that has been like for you, being involved in the tarot community and reading for so long, and also teaching folks. What has that been like, watching it explode in popularity for you? Is it like amazing, or has it been like, no?
It's a mix of both, I think like when I started, and my first two books are really about how to help tarot readers, because there was nothing like that. My hope was that we could get to a place of where reading tarot or getting a tarot reading is as normalized as getting a massage or getting acupuncture treatment. Both of those things were seen as kind of weird and wonky in the 80s and 70s. I didn't think we'd get here as fast as we have. I thought we'd have another 10 years before we really hit the acceptance level that we're at. And so the fact that I am hired by brides to come and read tarot at a wedding would have been completely unheard of unless you were a weirdo a few years ago. And so the way my clients show up has changed. In the beginning, it was very much of that kind of old school way of reading, which is like, you tell me, like looking for the psychic show, looking for that, well, tell me about my future. And now I'm seeing more of this psychological and spiritual process. We're really understanding that reading tarot is a book of choices, really, isn't it? And probabilities, rather than this hard fate. So in those ways, it's really been amazing and has only helped me.
Yeah.
I was like, I thought I was going to have to work a lot harder to get us here, but we're here. That being said, I do believe that there are people trying to go pro at levels they are absolutely not ready for. And also, there is no practitioner body, which is, this is the professional arm of this. This is where you find the mentor. This is where you get that help. So it feels a little Wild West in that way, in a way that does concern me a little bit, because there may come a time where federally tarot readers will be pushed to certify in some way. And if so, who then determines that? Yeah. So those are the questions I'm thinking about now. And that's really the push of this latest book, which is to be a good reader. It's more than just reading the cards. And you have a responsibility towards the people you are serving. And here's what that looks like. So I feel that my book could not have been published just a few years ago because the industry was not at that place yet.
Yeah.
What do you think? I mean,
I hear what you're saying, because one thing that's been interesting for me as a reader is how many more of my clients, and I've only been reading professionally for about 3 or 4 years. So that whole long journey of reading was just for me, and occasionally my girlfriends and I had a sleepover and, or a party and pull out your cards, It professionally has only been for a few years, but just in that short period of time, I have noticed a huge increase in the amount of people who are also readers. So when I started, it was like, here's this card. You have no idea what it means. You've never seen it before. Let me walk you through it and stuff like that. And now I pull out a cards and my client's like, oh, 3 of Swords. My goodness. And I'm like, oh, well, okay. I don't even have to do anything here, So in that sense, it's been kind of nice having my clients also have tarot background, because we can kind of get into stuff quicker and I don't have to give as much background information or context and stuff like that. So that has been great. And on the professional end, I quite frankly really look forward to a time where I don't have to explain to my payment processor why what I'm doing is totally legal and
Yep.
on the business end of things, it's been not the easiest road offering tarot. I have a bookkeeper and a CPA, and they're professionals. They have huge companies that are their clients, and they can't really answer the question of like, what's the deal in terms of taxes on your services, and are we going to get to a point where you might need to tax for tarot readings, and what's happening in that space, because there's so much, it just hasn't been considered like a legitimate profession. Up until now.
And not only that, I think legitimate readers are really sandwiched between the con artists and legitimate businesses.
Yeah.
Because I was with Stripe for 9 years based off of a backdoor deal. And when they got so big, because when I started with them, they weren't that big. When they got so big, they didn't care. They kicked me out and they gave me literally 4 days to get off their system after 9 years without one chargeback. And they made a ton of money with me.
Right.
Their terms of service have since changed, so that may not be true, but it's true that because of the con artist readers and the like fly by night 1-900 readers and all of that, who are just really capitalizing on people's fear and anxiety, they get high chargeback rates. So then readers are considered like a high risk group. And they make no distinction. So that is problematic. But you know what? Back in 2012, guess where I went? I went to PNC Bank. I went to my brick and mortar and was like, I need a business account and I need an online processor. They're all in suits and they're like, what do you do? I'm a tarot card reader. And they did. So like, we should always like, it's not just like, the big few like online processors. You can actually go to your brick and mortar as well. And that was my strategy, because you're right. There are issues with being able to professionalize. Like if you go to your local, business group, networking group, they may not accept you. I definitely had issues with that. And then you also have laws still on the books that make reading tarot illegal, though there's no teeth to it usually. But let's just say you piss someone off who's politically connected, and that can be used to strong arm you and shut you down.
Yeah.
This is another reason why we're probably getting close to that place of needing that professional arm who then can advocate for good, legitimate, ethical, professional readers and protect them and to advocate for them within the laws. So yeah, it's interesting where we're really at right now. And it's unfair. It's something I have talked a lot about over the years. But when we have therapists now trying to learn tarot because they want some of that tarot money,
yeah,
I find that very interesting. Very interesting.
Very, very. I have seen that myself, and on the one hand, it makes sense if I am a therapist and I am perhaps a spiritual person, or tarot is a part of my own practice, and I have found it helpful in terms of uncovering parts of myself or connecting with the universe, whatever it is I'm doing with it, I can totally see how a therapist can benefit, or how their clients could benefit from a tarot practice. But then you have the downside of the delegitimization of the practice, and tarot becoming sort of just this fun little like game that folks add into the things that they're doing. And I, like you, want to see a world where tarot readers have neighborhood offices, just like the chiropractor down the street or the dentist down the street.
I have one of those. There's nothing stopping any of us to do that.
Same, absolutely. Same here. I opened up a shop here in the Bronx, and we offer tarot readings here. And so I believe we're a part of that wave, but it does kind of feel like we have to go through this kind of rough patch of trying to figure things out and combat with those who who look at tarot as a means to an end, who look at it as a way to either get famous or make a lot of money, and therefore go about it in non-ethical ways or, really problematic ways. Mm-hmm. So that's where we're at. Yes. Hi. Thank you. Oh, this was amazing. Thank you so much for letting me go over your time. Sorry for hogging you for an hour and a half, but the conversation was so good. I could keep going. We could keep going. We might have to pick this up for a season 2, part 2 episode on this, because I really just personally, from me, I feel like I'm grateful that my journey was what it was. My first deck was technically a pip deck. There were no images on the minor arcana cards, which is like the hardest way to learn. I didn't know that at the time. Barnes & Noble had like 3 decks, and that one was like the cutest one, so I got it. And so I spent very many years just kind of learning the hard way. And I'm grateful for that. I think I've learned a lot, and I don't know that I would do it any other way. But if I were starting now, it would certainly be a blessing to have this book. So I'm just really excited that you could talk with us today.
With your kindness.
No.
And I do want to say, like what you just said in your outro around, having a book club so people aren't alone. And then you were talking about how you were alone. So I think you and I are very similar in that, that we're trying to not have people have to, you're grateful for it, but you don't have to if you don't need to. There are people here for, by, and with you.
Yeah.
And the community is important. So thank you for the work you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much. It's my pleasure. It's not easy, but I know that I'm on the right path. So one foot in front of the other every day. And doing this work puts me in community with folks like you. And so that's really encouraging and really helpful. So it's just been so great to talk to you.
I'm going to have to come visit y'all.
Yes. Please do. This is definitely... the reception has been overwhelmingly positive, but there have been some darker moments, and folks in the building that I'm located in apparently went to building staff because they were concerned that I was doing work on them from in here, and what is this space and all of that stuff. And I've had a few folks from the building kind of like, I can kind of tell that they're choosing off hours to sneak in. Do you do readings? When there aren't as many people standing at the elevator or in the lobby and things like that. So we still have a ways to go in terms of dispelling a lot of the misconceptions about what we do and what we're all about, whether it's from the religious zealots, that want to condemn us, or from the get-rich-quick folks that are tarnishing the legitimacy of what we do. We have a lot of things to overcome and to battle. It's not easy, and I feel a lot better knowing that I'm not alone in this.
You're not. Keep it up. Keep up the good work. But I don't know if this is a phenomenon that I and other older readers have encountered, that when, because I started off in Philly, it was only right before the pandemic, I moved down to North Carolina. So in Philly, I was balling that. I was like, you guys can't catch me, They were so mad at the con artist readers. Like, what they start doing is when they see that you are a threat, they will try to open shops all around you to triangulate you so that people will confuse them for you. Wow. They'll also co-opt your name or close enough to your name. And they used to run this game where they would then put a pin on Google, near and around you, but there was no one really there. They would try to just siphon you. That happened to me in Philly. That happened to a friend of mine in Florida, and also somewhere else she was. And knowing what I know about New York, this is also a credible threat. So just something for you to keep in mind and keep an eye on.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I've been getting, those little spirit signs and messages that I need to trademark my name and put legal protections in around my name. And originally I was like, who's gonna take BronxWitch? That's so random.
Did you? Wow.
But yeah.
Did you do a DBA? Do you have a DBA at least on?
I do. I have the DBA. I do have an LLC for the business, BronxWitch HeadQuarters, and we have a DBA for just BronxWitch. So that is helpful. But I do know that I need to take the next step of actually trademarking that name and locking it down. And so this is just one more edge, pushing me to find the finances to do that and the resources.
It wasn't too bad. I trademarked my original name. My original business name was Queen of Wands Tarot, and I trademarked it. And I didn't even use a lawyer. I just did it all myself. Yeah, it's maybe $150.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking about that, but I was a little nervous. But you know what I realized? I was like, listen, I got to stop taking advice on whether or not to trademark from trademark lawyers, and I got to stop taking advice on, because before I did anything, I incorporated this business when we moved in, right? Because I needed to do that for insurance, for the lease, and all that stuff. And I was under the impression that I was going to need to hire an attorney and do all of this stuff, and I'm so grateful that I got some mentorship from someone who has a CMOS business in Atlanta, and they were like, you do not need to do that. This is how you incorporate through your state or through the government. This is how you do it, and I was so grateful for that. And everybody else that I followed, though, that is in the business of incorporating folks, because they do it for a business, will tell you that no, you must hire an attorney to do it. And so I've been learning that when it comes to those things, it's good to hear them out for the reasons why they feel like it's stronger protection or a better thing or what have you, but to then talk to people who have actually done it and have spiritual businesses or similar businesses, and see whether or not, the gates of hell opened up because they got their own LLC without an attorney. And I'm finding that I think those folks, they do mean well, and obviously they're in the business of getting paid to do these things, so they are going to give you all the worst case scenarios of what could happen if you don't have an attorney doing these things for you.
No, the trademark office, because the paperwork is a little confusing. But I think I found a YouTube video walking me through the application, and I did it. And someone in the trademark office actually reached out to me and was like, did you mean to check this or check that? They were actually really helpful. And I was like, no, I meant to check that. And then they fixed it, and then it went in. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because they definitely give you the impression that is not how that goes. They're like,
oh,
if you make one little error, they're going to deny it, and they're not going to refund you your money, and you'll have to pay again. And
no, it was really, really helpful. And I'm not Miss Legal paperwork. I just follow the instructions. Though I will say, here's a funny story. So Queen of Wands Tarot, I trademarked it. And then I don't even use it anymore, but because I get tired of people going by my name. I'm like, didn't you Google before you took this business? That, because here's the thing, and they would all get mad at me, and I'm like, I'm trying to help you, because if they put Queen of Wands Tarot, they're going to find me, not you, because my SEO is fire. and I'm taking your business.
Yeah.
I'm trying to help you,
Yeah.
sweetie. But Queen of Wands, there was one other business in the US that trademarked Queen of Wands. And it was a dildo company.
Wow. That makes a lot of sense.
I was like, wait, there's another Queen of Wands trademarked. Wait, what industry are they in?
Okay, because you can be in different industries and have right. Okay, yeah, interesting. Well, that might send a few confused clients your way.
I can maybe like see if I have copies of my application. I could like send you pictures, so then you at least have a sample.
Oh my gosh, yes. Or the YouTube video you watched, even because
I don't
watched.
remember that.
Oh yeah, right. I watched a YouTube video when I did my LLC. I watched 2 different videos that walked you through it. And yeah, I've just been a little too afraid with the trademark thing because I follow all these trademarking attorneys that tell you, oh my God, you must get an attorney to trademark. But I think even if I don't have a whole legal team behind me to enforce or all of that stuff, just having it secured would really help. Because what you said about people pinning and making like fake Google listings and stuff like that, I hadn't thought about that, but I actually think I was a victim of that back in the day because I remember going online to find a witchy shop and being taken to like a no building address and then going home and being disappointed and finding out, no, the store is there. It's just like a block away. And I think this might have been before we were savvy to the game that that people might have been playing. And that's like, so crazy, but definitely something I wouldn't even be thinking to look out for. So
those con artist readers are leveling up, man. Yeah. Like they were not savvy online, but they've become that, and they are all over TikTok now, all over. I mean, I'm not that. I don't have big follows, like I've only got on Instagram because I'm like, I'm busy reading, man.
You're working.
Yeah, tired. But they are leveling up. And that's another reason I'm just like, we are getting to the point where there will be some kind of professional organization to just protect and advocate for readers. But readers also, because that's the other part, is like you have a lot of these hobbyists, which is fine. But readers don't want to see what they do as a business and won't level up as a business.
Yeah.
And that's also like keeping the industry from really maturing.
That's problematic. That's something that I've been running into a lot, not just as a tarot reader, but just as a magical practitioner, as someone in the space. I have to remind people that like, no, honey, I'm a professional. You book me through my website and you pay me with a credit card. No, you can't cash at me for that. And like, no, you can't book me through the DMs. And that is not like, but as soon as I say that, I'll then see another reader who's totally reputable in terms of their ability to read and all of that, being like, yeah, just cash at me the money or just shoot me a DM and we'll arrange it. And I'm like,
you obviously don't understand the economies of scale.
Right. Like you cannot scale that. First of all, that is not a scalable business. No. And I said to somebody the other day, I was like, one of my coven members, we were having a private chat and I was like, look, there are a lot of witches in business. There are not a lot of business people.
Yep.
That is a big difference that I am seeing because I am interacting with other people who also have spiritual businesses to collaborate on things and things like that. And they don't answer emails. They don't have a secure credit card processor. They don't have a centralized website. They do all their sales through social media. And I'm like, I am not... Don't get me wrong, I probably could have saved myself some heartache and some money by if these social media things were up and running when I got started and I could just charge people. I mean, you can request payment in the DMs now on Instagram. Right. You can hit a little button and say,
like a nightmare
give me $100. And quite frankly, I wouldn't have had to pay Square $30 a month or, get insurance or do all these things if I could do it. So it probably would have saved me time and I could have like blown up just from my living room.
You know what though? They're getting the common denominator of instant gratification. They're not getting high quality clients. That when you create these barriers, you are then filtering out that. Like,
And you
when,
open your clients up to the scammers, because if
well,
you're doing
yeah,
your business through the DMs, then of course they're going to be bamboozled
right.
when someone else comes through. And then the rest of us are out here going, no genuine reader is going to contact you that way. No genuine reader will take payment that way. And then you have someone
Right.
come along and be like, actually, yeah, you pay me this way. And I'm like,
I think the
no.
social media thing, you got to be careful too, because I mean, when I started in 2012, halfway through 2012, eBay cut all the readings off of eBay.
Yeah.
And I watched their whole livelihood was that poof overnight. So I made it my mission if all social media were to die right now, I'd be all right. Like,
Yeah.
I don't need it. And I actually taught a course on how to really create a strong strategic newsletter. And I know that's like, oh, it's a 2008. Yes, but it's in-house. It's yours. And like, whatever happens with social media, you'll be fine. And it's just then extra. So a lot of these people that have like built these things out, there are people, I mean, you probably know their names. They're like, you don't need a website. And I'm just like, this is not how a sustainable business,
Right.
where you're not constantly at the whim of these algorithms and whatnot. This is not how this is done. And
I
that's again
pulled
what you're
myself
saying.
away from social media. Like, my BronxWitch page was the place where I was like, book me for readings, do this and that. And I have pulled away from that. And I'm like, my BronxWitch page is going to be where I post funny things about my cat and like maybe this like spell that I worked on. And it's going to be a place. If you want to connect with me, you're going to do that through my shop, or you are going to do that through my coven. And those things all happen on my website. That is the only place that you can go to do those things. One, to protect you and to keep you
Right.
from being open to all the pariahs out there and all the weirdos and all that stuff, but also because if Instagram wakes up tomorrow and decides that they're banning all tarot reading pages for whatever reason, I need to be secure in what I'm doing.
Absolutely.
One, and two, I am a business person and I take myself seriously and I take the business that I've grown seriously, and so
Right.
therefore the platforms that I use are going to be serious platforms, and I just don't
Right.
find social media to be serious enough.
No, it's
for
not.
that.
It's not. And I mean, I've been doing business coaching. So when I started, I made it a point of not building my business social media. So I was like doing festivals, parties. I was meeting people face to face, like old school. And that worked. And so what was I going to say that? Like social media. So I've done a lot of business coaching for people in our industry. And let me tell you though, and this is another thing, like off the record, I've given so many people like, this is my secret sauce. This is blah, blah, blah. And they still don't make it
Yeah.
because there are some innate qualities that make an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And so, but I can tell you for a fact that follows don't mean shit. Let me
At
see your IRS.
all.
Let me see your banking account. Because those two things do not align. And I know readers that are unknown completely and making so much money.
Yep.
And the people, these huge follows, making no money.
Yeah.
Like social media, they've been trying, they've been trying to make it monetized. But think about it, right? When you're like, I need a massage therapist or I need a plumber, you're not like, ooh, Instagram, what's happening? You're like, Google, Bronx plumber,
Right.
Bronx whatever. That was like, so you've got to be aware how people look for services. And the problem though is people are getting confused between influencers and experts.
Yes. Yeah.
But you can capitalize on that.
Yeah.
And I would want you to, because you have a good heart and you're coming from a good place. And that's what I want to see. doing the work. Oh my
Thank
goodness,
you.
we could be all night. I gotta run this.
Yes. So do I. And maybe I'll reach out if you're okay with it. I am planning on having a season 2 and maybe a season 3 of this next year. And it would be great to maybe talk about spiritual business for folks who are starting out and maybe struggling to build their communities, be authentic, and not get sucked into the social media hole that makes you feel like you have to be this big influencer in order to have a successful business. The two are not the same. So I'd love to do another chat.
That'd be awesome. Like, I tried to get Llewellyn to buy a book on the business aspect like they have with Christine Jett, the old one. And they were like, there's no money in that. And in fact, I had to really push for this book because they're like, well, like, we want just 101s because that's where all the money is.
Yeah.
And I was like, trust me, the industry is ready for this book.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I agree. I think that they're going to be pleasantly surprised for sure. Yeah.
I got under 150 on Tarot and Amazon. I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's been wonderful to get to know you.
Same.
And yeah, just let me know when you post it or the links, and then I will share everything. And we should definitely do something. And I'll come visit. I'll come up, be like, what's happening? I want to see what's going on here. But
please do. It's been so wonderful talking to you. Thank you so much for giving me so much of your time. Be on the lookout for that email from me with the details of the episode, and just from the top of my heart. Thank you so much. Yes.
From all the interdimensions of my heart.
All of them. All of the valves and all of the atriums of my heart.
Me too. Have a wonderful night and a great rest of your week.
Thanks, you too. Blessed be. We'll be in touch.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, witches, for checking out the behind-the-scenes footage from this week's episode. Tune into YouTube every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern for a new episode, and definitely join us right after that episode airs for a Coven-only live Q&A with our guest co-host. And make sure to leave a review of the BetterWitch podcast on your favorite podcast platform. See you next time. Blessed be.